amateur gardener of the three, and my consultant here, my professional consultant, is sitting next to me. What I've learned about gardening comes from this kind of experience. I bring home a plant that I really like, and in his full view, I grab a shovel and I go for the ground where I think it should go, and then he comes running and says, no, 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 not there, not there. And so that's how I learn. And then sometimes he'll even tell me why it doesn't belong there and where it should be. But I think that I've learned, or I have three realizations about gardening in Lubbock. One is that leaves, not diamonds, are a girl's best friend. And that's because for years we took our leaves that came off of our neighbor's tree and composted them, and then put the compost back on the yard. So we took the leaves off and then put the compost back on. But now what we've learned is to take the lawnmower and go over the leaves to mulch them and put them right back on. And as Jennifer was mentioning, with water as a shortage, the neighbors and our consciences don't look well on watering every day for plants. So the mulch has helped us to keep some water in, and it's free and cheap. And the only pollution is the lawnmower, which is unfortunately gas right now.
Actually, I did see an advertisement for an electric lawnmower the other day.
Yes, yes. And I'm sure that that will be coming. But this is an example of the mulch that we make. And so again, no big pieces, just right back on. And we have found that to be very, very helpful.
We can pass it around if you want to look.
Yes. Then the next thing, the next thing is that although the song says, "You are my sunshine," it's probably not what most plants sing lovingly here in Lubbock. We just had a sale at Northridge where I work, and this is a typical little stick that you find in the plants that you buy, and it says, "I love sun." And so the parents that buy plants from me say, "Oh, I have just the place for a petunia right here in the front of my flower bed that gets sun all day." And you have to say, maybe in Chicago, maybe in Pittsburgh, but here you got to give these poor things some shade. So I think that when we first moved here and we could plant all these plants that we were used to, begonias and petunias and vincas and impatiens, we're finding that to be a real struggle, even with sun shade, but especially in full sun. So I find that I'm constantly saying to people, even though it says full sun, please don't put it in full sun. Give it some shade or give it some protection that way. Okay, here's my stick. Third is this prop, and that's that when you see flowers in Lubbock, they may look beautiful, and then whoosh, that hot wind comes in, and then you find that you have dried flowers that you could put on a wreath instead of flowers that look like this. And so what I'm finding through working with John in our garden is that if you want your flowers to look beautiful, then somehow they have to be protected, either by fences or by where you plant them back into a garden. Then of course you run into total shade, which doesn't work for most plants either. But I think that that's a real challenge, to know where to place plants in a garden, and that's what I've been trying to learn. And so I think that when we were nominated a few years ago as the most variable climate and won that award over Fairbanks, Alaska, that I really identify with that. You have the best plans in mind of how this garden's gonna look when you're done, and then the reality hits in of wind and drought and sun and 100-degree weather, that you just can't keep enough water on these plants. So I think that that's the challenge, especially as we've moved from the gardens that we grew up with up north to more of a xeriscape, drought tolerant, but yet plants that are going to produce color, flowers, variation in your garden too. So there you go.